My name is Frauke. I've been in the hospitality business for about 2 decades. Most recently, I've been running all the community initiatives for Marriott International here in the UAE and also leading one of their residences projects. I'm really, really excited to be here. I don't think if you had asked me some time ago if I would ever lead a networking session, I would have told you that this was me, because it's not something that comes very easy to me. I'm very much an introvert, although you might think that in hospitality, naturally, you should be somebody who's very much an extrovert and loves people. I am not one of these people. But I hope this means that I can give you a couple of tips and tricks on how to navigate networking. I do believe that if you don't think that networking is important, you wouldn't be here. So I don't think I need to say much about networking in general. But it's very, very important, of course, at the moment. And often said, much more important than the things you know is who you know. So I would love to start with learning a little bit about what networking is from your end. So I will come down and just see what is networking for you and what is networking not, just to start. I will go and volunteer. It's a very small room, so you cannot escape.
Thank you.
How would you describe networking?
I think it's making connections and just fostering relationships.
I love that. And Deb.
I think for me, networking would be having meaningful connections. Connections, yes, but understanding why you are here and what motivates you to come here, rather than just be very pitchy and salesy about stuff. Yeah.
Oh, I love this. I will go to the men of the room as well, just to see if we hear something different.
Yeah, I think networking for me is about learning. So it's a lot about hearing, being a good listener over just speaking, right? So it is going into every conversation where I want to learn something new. So making the other person the focus of that over yourself.
Very nice. Please.
I agree with everything you all said, but also I think is access. And networking really gives us the opportunity and the permission to have access to the people that we want to share with. I think that is.
I love that. Anybody else who would like to share?
So networking to me is more of an asset. So it's my asset portfolio that I keep for a very long time.
Beautiful. I love everything that you said. Because I think networking can be quite daunting, right? Especially in a big event like this. You have so many people. You're like, how do I stand out? How do I do this? How do I manage? How do I approach people? What do I say? And it's all about making that genuine connection as opposed to collecting business cards, right? And one of the things is when we look at network as a net worth or as your asset portfolio, as you put it, it's very much like this, but only if you build it with purpose. And we listened to listening more than you speak and making the other person the focus of your networking approach, which is really, really lovely, because I do think it can feel quite transactional often. And a lot of people, and I've just fell victim to somebody actually, I will not tell you the name, but I was standing and grabbing a bottle of water and somebody approached me, and it was like a speed dating approach, right? And they're like, oh, this is me, and oh, you work for Marriott, okay, here's my contact, please scan my code, let's take a selfie. And I was just standing there, I was like, whoa, okay, this is a lot in a very short time. I don't know you yet, so just, take a few little baby steps first. So it is very much about the connection. But I think it's also very much about the quality over the quantity. So it's not about collecting the 300 business cards, but rather having a few meaningful connections that sow the seed for future connection, for future communication, for maybe supporting each other in one way or another. So instead of doing a sales pitch, very much look at it as a future investment. And I'll tell you a small story. My very, very first GM, I already told you I'm quite old, so I've been in the hospitality for quite some time. my very first GM recently connected me to somebody after I haven't spoken to her in maybe 15 years. So if you had asked me who's in your network, I don't think I would have counted her necessarily. But she read my LinkedIn profile, and all of a sudden she's like, oh, I saw this and I found it really interesting. I would love to introduce you to somebody. And fast forward 18 months, and I'm here because of another person that introduced me and another person that introduced me, and all of a sudden I'm here. So there's a lot of magic in networking when it's done right and when it's done with intention, and when it's done really with purpose as opposed to just a sales pitch. In order to prepare for the session, I really find comfort in statistics. I don't know if I'm alone. I love a good number. I always say, what's the backup, right? Who said? Where's the information? So I found some really interesting facts, especially when it comes to female networking. So in general, we don't do very well in face-to-face networking. Any idea why that is? Possibly? No? No? Confidence? Yes. And I think it's very much that striking that balance, right? Is either we are a little bit too soft, a little bit too ladylike, and maybe people don't necessarily take us seriously enough. I see some nods in the back. Or it's the opposite, and we're like, okay, I got this, and I'm maybe coming off a little bit too strong, and people are like, oh, what's this? So it's really hard for us to strike that balance between being confident, but at the same time not being overconfident, not coming across maybe a bit arrogant, or some other not so kind words that I will not repeat. But where we do really well is in third-party interactions. And what does that mean? Is that when we are introduced to another person by somebody, there's already that element of trust in there. And they're like, oh, this person has vetted that person. So that makes sense, right? That means we must have something in common. And I automatically have a little bit more of an open mind towards that person. So how does that help us here? Obviously a great deal. Because that means here in that little community that you're building, hopefully over the next 30 minutes or so, you'll be able to create almost like a buddy system to take you around. And I've had the pleasure of taking advantage of a little bit of a buddy system by following Jen in the front. So it's really one of the ways that we can assist each other and have very much a value-first approach. So how do I help you, as opposed to how can you help me when we approach each other? The other thing that I found really interesting is that McKinsey said that women, usually, especially in the hospitality industry, we actually start off almost equal. So when we graduate, almost half of the graduates are female. But then we kind of sort of fizzle out a little bit towards that leadership. And one of the things that can reverse that effect is very much networking programs, sponsorship, mentorship, so supporting each other to get there. And of course, for the male parts in the room, that really means allyship and supporting and introducing us to those influencers and decision makers. So, in fact, we are 30% more likely to be successful when we are being introduced to people. So we very much want to use that opportunity as we go through the next 3 days at FHS. So what else can we do apart from grabbing somebody or hanging on to somebody? This is very much how I felt today, is hanging on to somebody and just being like, okay, we're going there. All right, I'm coming with. So what else can we do? One of the things is about standing out, right? We've just talked about how in a large event like this, there's a lot of introductions happening, a lot of sales pitches, a lot of people are coming on with business cards, looking for something, looking to sell something. So as anybody really, not necessarily only as a woman, but how do you stand out from that? And I find it's very much the introduction. Recently, I was at a small networking event and I met this gorgeous lady, and one of the things that she said to me very much in the beginning without knowing me was, if there was no limitations, what would you love to do? And it was such a powerful question that really, one, is provoked my thought process. And I was like, yeah, what is that that I really want to do? But also such a personal question that really allowed me to open up and connect with her and wanting to get to know her and help her. So what we're going to have a look at is make them remember you. We know that first impressions are everything, right? And they're so, so quick. So especially when we're a little bit nervous, preparation really helps us to plan that approach and to see, okay, what do I say? What do I do when I want to connect with somebody? So your normal interactions, your normal way of introducing yourself is what? Hi. That's a good one. Good. What else? What are the parts of the interactions when we introduce ourselves?
The way I project myself, I stand, eye contact, and presence in front of the person before I say hi, nice to meet you.
Very good. What else?
My name and title, the classic.
And how do you think that name and title, how long will that stick around in the mind of the other person when they have to comb through 300, 400 different contacts after an event like this? Not much, right? So it's really about how can we create something when we introduce ourselves that lives a little bit longer than the end of the day or the next 15 minutes. So what I'd like to do is really to challenge you to have a look at what is my purpose as opposed to what is my title. Yeah? Because again, we're looking at connection, right? We're looking at long-term communication, at long-term support. We're not looking at the quick sales pitch. So instead of saying, this is where I work and this is my title, which sometimes we might not be super happy about, right? Sometimes we introduce ourselves and in our minds we're like, oh, I'm not exactly where I want to be at the moment. Maybe I wish I had a bigger title. Maybe I wish I was working for a slightly larger company. Maybe I wish I was a little bit more recognizable. So don't lead with that, yeah? Because automatically when we're not comfortable, we're like, I work for, you're automatically pulling back. So what is your purpose? What do you do? What do you craft? Who do you help? Who do you support in your current role? Or maybe not even role specific. What do you do as a human being? Who are you? Yeah? And the second part is to add a little bit of personality. For me, this is very much humor. You may have noticed. That is mainly because I decided this morning to wear a linen suit, and I really need to get a little bit of extra humor in, so I'm not stuck in my head about how much wrinkles have I gained over the past couple of hours. But yeah, it's very much about who are you as a person? Yeah, what makes you unique? What makes you likable? How do you connect with others the best? And the last one is curiosity. Why do we add that? Is because people really love to talk about themselves. Yes? People love that you're interested in them. They want to tell you a little bit about that. And it could be as simple as, I would love to know what brought you here to FHS, or what are you looking to gain over the next couple of days. But it could also be something a little bit more personal if you know the person a little bit better. Be like, what's your plan for Grift over the next couple of years? You know, what are you trying to take back? So that curiosity piece kind of reels them in a little bit. And when you think about this, it's not a really long conversation that we're talking about, but it, you know, really hooks them a little bit more than just saying my name and my title. Okay? Yes? Makes sense? Good. Another thing, it's not on the slide, but I would always recommend to do like a mini follow-up. Once you're done, especially those top 10, top 15 connections that you've made, send them a small note. Doesn't matter whether it's WhatsApp, it's LinkedIn, I probably wouldn't go for Instagram, but you know, whatever floats your boat, just to reconnect and say, hey, I really loved meeting you today. I would love to hear more about whatever it is that you talked about. Yeah? So what we'd love to do is to give you a little bit of time to try out a new way of introducing yourselves in the small groups that you already organically created. So try to see if we can pull the chairs around a little bit, so it's a little bit more of a, at least half a circle, and introduce yourselves to each other using the 3 pointers. You're also more than welcome to stand up if you'd like. The group size of 5 would be great. Embrace the mess. It's okay. It is very warm. I can feel myself sweating.
She's taking the score now.
I like working and seeing the work that I do turn something into a reality. So if I get to work on a project from day one and it's nothing's a piece of paper and an idea, and then a few years later I drive past it and there's something there, I find that really very satisfying.
What about you?
But I'm based in London. Or they were hoping to move to Abu Dhabi with the new business. We're just introducing ourselves to each other. Welcome. We're just introducing ourselves to each other. And we've got a lot in
Coming up. So not currently.
How to hire, maintain, and secure your talents and expertise worldwide. So I'm just here to find new opportunities.
And you're based out of France or based out of
I'm based in France.
Okay.
France.
And you go on which country? Well, I'm from Bangkok.
Okay, I was just there a couple of days ago. Yeah, I came from Tap the Best event.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I had 2 clients at once, so I got to
Oh, how do you like it?
Bangkok.
It's raining so hard.
Yeah, we have a very conversation. We came together. To be honest, we kind of inherited the registration coming this event. I just joined the organization like a month ago, and it was already prepared and researched. So I was a new guy on board, so I kind of came here.
Throwing you into the deep end.
Sorry?
Throwing you into the deep
Throwing
end.
you into the deep end, but yeah, but I've been in hotels and working for industry before that is now. So I've been to a lot of events, a lot of working events, and a lot of these kinds of events, but not just one specific. It's my first time to ever step to Dubai. But yeah, it's a little bit overwhelming in terms of number of people. Like I like to go to the networking events where there are more intimate, right? Where you can actually talk to people and really hear your opinion. And I think like you said, it's not just about introducing your business for me and your title. I think it's about sharing purpose, and that's what I like to do with people. What I want, what I see in hospitality, what I see in the future of hospitality is, and share that vision. And if the vision to life, then the relationship goes on for a longer time. And I've met a lot of people here who I've worked with for the last 20 years, and we walk past each other. It's a connected, and we don't necessarily even talk about how your business is going on. You just say we go grab a drink later on, this evening. So yeah, that's how I approach my networking.
Yeah. 17 Frankfurt Street one way.
Okay, okay.
Only 5-star hotels and palaces also in the next one.
Towards and then when you go towards the direction.
That's really interesting. Really different.
All right, I know you're still introducing yourselves, and that's absolutely fine. The group's gotten a little bit bigger than we had anticipated, which is perfectly fine. You continue to introduce yourself. I have a few questions for you that you can use again just to learn a little bit more about each other. So those of you who haven't introduced yourself to the groups yet, you can do so with an additional question. And maybe we'll put these 6 people together so that you can enjoy a little bit more networking there as well.
Nice to meet you. I'm Satish. I run sustainability business. So we help hotels become more sustainable operationally.
Sorry. خليجي. فصحى. That's true. That's true, unfortunately.
Unless, of course, there's beautiful souls around us and they do impressions.
And I'm not saying it's fair on sitting on it. But I'm not saying that, but you can ask her as well that we have a 10-member team, only 2 guys, 8 females in our team. 2 males. That's our BCC, that's our business development team. All females mostly.
I'm finding companies nowadays, correct me if I'm wrong, either
Any kind of approach is very unique, right? Yes, of course. And sometimes you realize that maybe my approach is not working for the person in front of me. Or maybe I'm getting some feedback where like, didn't really work well for me. But that's how you kind of find your own authentic way of approaching as well, connecting.
You want a best person, you want a person with a right mindset.
You know, like, I own my own company and I accidentally just like
Yeah.
I work in PR as well, so it's very much skewed together. Saying that, I've 18 years in the industry and I've never had a female boss until I started my own company. Mainly gay men. Yeah. I'm in Asia, so
Yes. Yes. 100%. And that's very much this kind of value first approach. It's about how can I help you as opposed to what can I get out of you. And if I don't get anything out of you, then move on because I'm going to the next person to just check, what else can I get. And again, I cannot stress this enough that it's not a short-term goal. It's very easy to make one sale, right? But if people don't feel connected to you, they probably don't come back to you. And maybe they have nothing to give you right now, but maybe in the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, something will come up and they remember you because there was no agenda behind you connecting with them. But you see, I feel the prevalent approach, even on the application, is very much I'm selling you something, right? You work for this company, so I want to speak to you because I have this great product, I have this great software, I have this great something. So it's very much just connected to the sales pitch versus, hey, I want to meet you, and then maybe we'll just see what happens from it. Yes, yes.
HR also female.
Yeah.
HR is normally a lot female. But I was surprised as well that when I came on board.
But it's also hard to do this in an environment like this. So the follow-ups will really allow you to say, okay, you know what, let's catch up for a coffee, or, let's take this further in a different environment where maybe we're not so stressed or we're not pushing to sell. And
like that's a huge growth just in 3 years.
All right, let's move on to the next question. What kind of connections are you hoping to make at FHS this year? It's a short one.
A male-dominated industry and a male-dominated career, and especially in legal as well. So I think Frank mentioned at the beginning, people that you know are your assets, and I don't know that many people here, especially in my professional network. So I would love to connect with people.
Not bad.
Any connection is a connection.
Oh, connections. I'm hoping.
Yes, it's a very quick one.
Let's do a rapid fire, like start.
Yes.
One connection.
And the connection that you're looking to make at FHS.
Well, a friend. I would say a friend in the region. Because I am not here in this region quite a lot. I normally take care of Asia, Southeast Asia, South Asia. I want someone who I can know, connect as a friend in this region. And then the rest comes later.
Yeah, that's fair. I love that.
I think that's a very hard question for me because I used to work with FHS. And I was the person that collects a lot of cards, so I'm like a crazy networker. So this year I don't work with them anymore. This year I'd like to make meaningful connections, not, as you said, collect the cards, like really downgrade and just be there with the person, as you said,
Nice.
listen and communicate and how valuable it is to drive them.
Yeah, for me, since I'm now responsible for the Riyadh branch, I have a new vision. I have an optimistic plan that I wanted to do for this branch, and I want to expand the network with all kind of clients, consultants, specialties, in order to help me in putting this plan to reality. So I'm welcoming any kind of network.
Good. I know there's a lot of conversation going, which is exactly what I want. If there was silence in the room, I'd be really worried. But we have one last question. If you could connect two people in this room right now, who would they be and why? And maybe you don't know each other that well, so it could be expanded to the space, the event itself. You're all done? Yeah. Okay. Very fast. All right. Good. The biggest group is already finished. Not sure what this says about the other groups. All right. So it was my pleasure spending some time with you. I would love to leave you with some words of, I'm going to call it wisdom, tentatively optimistic. Is that what they say? It's probably not that, but you know what I mean. I think, again, I would love to encourage you to connect with some of the people that you've just met, even if there's not a direct gain that you can take from it. And maybe it's just a friend, right? We've heard that some people are just looking for a friend, which is lovely. And really see it as the beginning of a story, right? It does not have to be an end game. It can just be a beautiful relationship. It can give you so much more over the years. I also would love to encourage you to design networking for you, right? We talked about it in the beginning a little bit, how generally men are a little bit better in face-to-face networking, women are a little bit better by being introduced, but don't see networking as something that is scary. You can really make it your own. Sometimes it's smaller groups that work well, bless you, or maybe it is an all-female panel that works well, where you can find some more support. So really make it your own and find what works for you in order to expand that network, that asset, that net worth. And ultimately, don't wait for permission. Just ask for what you need. You'd be surprised sometimes that even on platforms such as LinkedIn or utilize the Bench app to really reach out to people and see what it is that you're looking for, be surprised how many people are willing to help and support and introduce you to others. And lastly, value first. So always think about what can I give you as opposed to what can you give me. So if you feel that there's any value that I can add, I'll be here for another couple of minutes. So if there's anything that you need, I would love to help. And thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.